Representation and the idea of the political artwork. One of the things that makes a piece of art exceedingly weak is that it is a political artwork. The book I was reading, Disinformation, about the Russian art of disinformatia, actually gets into a widespread effort at sullying the names of Catholic priests who hid Jews from the Nazis, but communist pieces of shit and Ashkenazis who were no longer religious ended up making lots and lots of... First, they tried to sell this story that these various priests had been Nazi collaborators, when that turned out to not only be false, but people like Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial Museum in Tel Aviv said, no, we actually are recognizing this person in Yad Vashem itself as somebody who had saved Jewish people, saved Jewish lives, and that this priest is truly a mensch for what he did. The artists instead created then stage acts to sully the name of various Catholic priests, saying that they were Nazi collaborators. So this is a constant with artists, and that this seems to be something that when I've actually looked into kind of the weird world of thespians and such, and these morality plays and such, this comes out of a specific part of kind of, once again, New England Yankee culture to some degree. Things called, I forget the spiels, but there's a longer word for it. It's a German kind of play, like a something spiel. But this all comes out of these communities that in particularly are, storytelling, black folks singing the blues about how they were treated all the time. And so then you get people like James Baldwin, who's just a very angry gay black man who, for good reason, probably during his life, it kind of fucking sucked, but it was also this idea of, well, why, I live in America, why should my life suck, and because that's, of course, one of the weaknesses of political art, where you have these these pampered weaklings who, artists who get to complain about things, not necessarily that they are working class, because that is exceedingly rare, that you have truly something that's the working class artist who makes then working class art for working class people, because that would be what's called something that you could consume. EVE Online is working class art. Working class people consume it. Video games are working class art. So this is why then you get these absolute talentless representers. It's people who need representation, but what they end up doing is taking what's a good idea and then selling it by making a well-represented sequel, and they might as well have written it or created it in crayon or in chalk. It's in watercolors. It's for children. It's something that at best, the complexity of language, the complexity of the plot, it's at best for children of single-digit ages. And that's what most of the LGBTQ community now, unfortunately, has to offer. They no longer have a Gore Vidal. They no longer have a James Baldwin who has a line, God gave Noah the rainbow sign, no more water, it's fire next time. That's a memorable line. You no longer have a Queen Latifah, who was one of the most important rappers in old school, in the beginning of the new school hip-hop era. You no longer have somebody like, I don't know if MC Lyte was gay. She supposedly wasn't. But you just no longer have this. And I mean, and somebody like Queen Latifah now has taken what was a very fun series from another time, where it made perfect sense that it was like this old Englishman dressed up, in mod style. It was a hearkening to the mods and to a song actually called Harry May. And what's his name? Harry May. What's his name? Harry May. And he was a hired killer in Britain. And yeah, and it harkens to that kind of style and image. There's others. I'm sure Oliver will be able to point out to me all kinds of cool. What is this? For undelivered. Oh, okay. But as far as anything like, oh, look at this amazing script written that then, elucidates so much about, Black Americana or something. That doesn't exist now. This is Glory was okay. This just, Spike Lee fell off a long time ago. A long time ago. There is not, right now, good, solid, representative art of ethnic minorities, of the gays, of all this. They all suck. Even, for the most part, women generally suck. I mean, there isn't a thing called a funny female comedian, except for maybe like about 4 or 5 at any one time across the planet. They just can barely pack a show, and the whole thing is and this is just coming from somebody who I worked around bars too much. I'm sorry. Men have a problem with spending too much money on drink, and we like spending too much, burning our time, which we haven't made into money yet, on paying attention to women. So we like to go to a place to drink and enjoy ourselves, and oh, there happens to be women there. See, there's some men who will go to a place, oh, there's hell girls there, bro. Hell girls there, bro. Girls, the girls, they're there, bro. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna wear get my hair on fleek, bro. And you see, like, and I mean, people try to go to the club. Me and my friends, like, when we were too young, driving up to the clubs, and just kind of hanging out. like why? And it was because we didn't drink. And these were the guys who didn't drink, and they liked looking at girls. They liked, spitting game, and which is it waste of time. I was sitting back like, this is kind of a waste of fucking time. This is fun because I'm hanging out with these guys, but I mean, this is kind of a waste of time. So I just had to think about that. Like, that I was having a conversation with somebody, and I was like, yeah, there's no more Gore Vidal going on. This isn't, and I said, in the present generation of all these LGBTQ, these very confused youth who think that there's something to, like, I'm so attracted to somebody of my own sex, oh, it's so real, it's so reality, and it's like, yeah, but you've lived long enough that your life can fill a thimble. So you don't really know that these relationships don't last actually that long. But life could last a long time. You can end up old as dirt. And let me just tell you, there's nothing more pathetic than certain kinds of old couples, old quote-unquote couples, where you're just looking at them from afar like, damn, the wall beat the fuck out of you. The wall beats them all, but the wall, it's like as if this is like the Q continuum, like the wall chased you down through time, space, and then whooped your ass. But it's because, I'm from there. I'm from San Francisco. I've seen these people. And then I've seen people who they stuck it out. How did they stick it out? Because they were basically gay men who were Democrats who fundamentally would vote Republican until it came to a gay issue. And then they would vote very Democratic. And, yeah. And so it's just, the representation crowd, it's garbage. The whole representation thing is just garbage. Ripley, you know, I mean, like, okay, people know that was it. There's Saito, there's Borma. Where does the name Borma come from? You know, this was one of the characters from Ghost in the Shell. You always are wondering what the story is with Borma. You're always wondering what the story is with all these people who the Major has recruited. And then you find out their origin stories, and they're brilliantly told. And she doesn't need to talk about, like, one of the guys, his line was, "I never sleep with a woman twice." And at some point, he has to knife fight the Major. And it's because he's an undercover. He's an undercover cop, it turns out, who is working with the Yakuza. And he's a gambler. But his thing is he likes using a knife. And this comes up over and over again in Ghost in the Shell, like that character and his use of a knife. And they didn't need to get into a whole bunch of representation with that show. It was that well done. It was that well done that, and then the story of Major Motoko Kusanagi. That technically Motoko Kusanagi is a quadriplegic, born a quadriplegic, or possibly not born a quadriplegic, but possibly also technically gassed with nerve gas in utero or something like that, and that she survived, but her body was horribly damaged. She would have been horribly handicapped if she had not been made a full cyborg. And it's a female going through being one of the first of these types of humans, and all of the experiences, but through a woman's eyes. And that story was brilliantly told. And there isn't an equivalent like that in the representation community. Only white men, Japanese men, white men, and white men seem to be able to tell the story of women, black people, gays, and everybody else. And maybe what this is that a whole lot of people need to step up and write better fucking shit. And original series is. But we'll see. There's maybe just not enough crayons out there.